The financials?
Financials. The luxury tax in particular. I mean, you spoke about balance, but where do you like to see the balance? Is the idea that something like a luxury tax comes in a good idea?
Like I said, to me, it's what's the purpose of it, and I do believe that there needs to be competitive balance. Yes, there needs to be some sort of mechanism that doesn't mean that just there isn't some restriction on spending, both for the protection of the clubs but also competitive balance, but not at the expense of striving for excellence. Because we've got the Premier League's a great product, and it attracts the best players, it attracts the best managers, myself excluded from that, and you don't want to diminish that, because if you diminish that, then you're kind of then not really achieving what you want to in terms of constantly trying to progress the code and progress the sport and make it a better spectacle for the paying customers.
What's in place at the moment not quite right? Most people seem to think.
Look, again, it's not my space. I mean, if I was an owner, I'd love to answer these questions. I'd be all over it for you, but I'm a football manager, and whilst I have a very basic understanding of economics and finances, and I understand the implications probably more than most because of, like I said, my background in sports where it was very, very prevalent. So when I was coaching in Australia, I was all over it because I had a salary cap. I couldn't go over that. So every time I signed to play, I needed to know the finer details of everything we were doing. But I didn't like that. So, but I don't know if the current model works well enough because I'm not involved in that. You'd have to ask the owners whether they think it's a good model or not.
But just sporting specific on the current model, you've got Forest come in, one of the two teams got points. Does that turn you off a little bit? Sort of the asterisk next to the points total?
Well, it depends. It depends on, you with all these things, whether it's an asterisk or it's a rule change, or they're all things that play into play in terms of, how we all try and run our teams. We all have to abide by rules, and if we go out on the weekend and we give away 2 penalties because of the new handball rule that doesn't exist, then we've got to cop it, mate. But there's no asterisk there. It's just the way football is. But I don't know the detail of that for me to give an opinion in terms of, whether it's just or it's unjust. It's not fair of me to do that because, like I said, as I keep saying, I'm a football manager. Ask me any question you want on the football front and I'll answer it. If I ever see anyone in here answering football questions on my behalf, I'll be coming in here yanking them straight out. I don't want anyone doing that to me. I don't want those players because they don't want to come to Tottenham. They want to go to a Champions League club. I signed Mickey van der Veen this year. He's not a bad player, is he? We were in the Champions League? No. I don't want those players. That's a beautiful discussion for me to have. That's one of the discussions I have. Why do you want to come to Tottenham? Because if you want Champions League football and that's all you want, you don't want to come to Tottenham. You just want to go to a Champions League club. I want people who want to come to Tottenham who know this club, know the challenge we've got, and we do have a challenge. We're different to other clubs in that we haven't had success for a while, so I'm looking for a certain type of character who's going to say, you know what, they're not in Champions League, but you know what, if I win something with them, that could mean something to my career and to me, so yeah, I'm up for that fight. So that's part of the discussion. I don't think that makes a difference to me in terms of the players. Like I said, we've had 2 windows so far, and I haven't had an issue bringing the players I want to this club, even though we're not in Champions League.
So you don't see your desires to make your team sustainable in terms of their growth as being incongruent with bringing in the players that you want? It's
it's about growth of the team, as you said. So the character is a big part of that for sure. But if their motivation is anything other than joining this football club, then I just think, for me anyway, I'm not saying that that's the right or wrong. It's just for me that's not the kind of players we need for where we are at the moment, where we want to be. And as I said, it's worked okay so far in the 2 windows we've had with the players we've brought in. They've all taken on the challenge of coming to a club that's hasn't got Champions League football, but hopefully they can do something more than that.
And on Wednesday, it was 5 years since this fantastic stadium was opened. Not to go back to the financials, but from Forest.
But you will, I can see.
It's clear that it's played a big part of it.
Yeah.
Not just the attendance and bringing fans in, but all the other
Yeah.
uses it has.
Mm.
I mean, how much was the stadium a draw for you?
I mean, it's a fantastic stadium, and the facilities here are fantastic. So you kind of factor that into it, but it wasn't the reason I came to Tottenham. But again, when you're talking about trying to compete at the highest level, you see how important it has become to have sort of other revenue streams. And I think for where we are as a club at the moment, without that ability to generate revenue from outside just the football, we would have been in a more difficult position to kind of continually have a team that can compete at the highest level against some of the other clubs. So like I said, look, the main reason I joined this football club, more than anything else, I get it. It's a Premier League. I'm earning decent money, and it's high profile, and it's got a great stadium, great facilities. It hasn't won anything for a while. That's why I came, and that's kind of the biggest attraction. So if they were playing out of the back of, some other, sort of stadium, it wouldn't have made a difference to me. It's what attracted me to was that I see a really big club that hasn't had success for quite a while, and it's a great challenge for me.
And just back to Brennan, he's playing with a bit of swagger at the moment. Gareth Bale, when Brennan first came to the club, said the sky was the limit for him. Obviously played with him for Wales, and a fantastic player in his own right. Would you agree? Would you see a ceiling on Brennan's potential?
No, I don't see a ceiling on anyone's potential. That's why we bring him to the club. And I've said all along. I mean, if we had had this conversation probably 6 weeks ago, I think people were asking me, why can't Brennan start games? And it's all these things are, like I said, they're all a snapshot in time, and I understand. But I always take a broader view on these things. And I've seen him. I think he's handled it really well. He was signing an attacking player, a young attacking player, to a big club. We had minimum of 30 goals walk out the building at the start of the year, and people are going to be looking at how we're going to replace that, and it can weigh heavily on a young guy's shoulders like him. Not that we expected, Brennan to replace Harry, but we needed goals and assists. But I've liked the way he's handled it. We've tried to sort of tread carefully with him because I can see the potential in him, and I can see how much he can improve, and the attributes he has. I've got no doubt will fit really well with this team, but I'm not going to put a ceiling on it because that would be unfair on him. But we like the way he's progressing, but we certainly believe there's more to come for sure. And Gareth Bale's a legend, mate. What a player.
Just finally, you forged a good connection with the fans, obviously from results, style of football, but I feel like the way you conduct yourself in here and when you speak to the media and therefore to the fans is a big part of that. How, I can think of your interaction with Charlie earlier, that feels like it might go viral. A lot of these things go viral on the internet.
Sorry, John.
No, but like there's a few of them today. How aware are you of or conscious of that? Are you? And how important is in a modern day manager to have that kind of capacity?
Look, I think it is important. It's not easy, and I'm not saying it because it's you guys, but you look at if you stay in this game for any length of time, the amount of times you have to do this and answer questions that can be repetitive at times or can be reactive to, but I've always I have taken that part of it seriously, because I always feel like I said, as much as I'm talking to you guys, I'm not really talking to you guys. I'm talking to our supporters every week, because that's the only chance they really get to hear from anyone from the club is me. And so whether I'll get a question that I like or I don't like, or the person asking the question, I don't like them. I do like them. No one. But it becomes irrelevant to me, because I just think they're not really asking me the question. They're asking the Tottenham manager, in this case, the question. And so whilst Anth does a good job of sort of briefing me, it's more about, like I said, I kind of take this as an opportunity to speak to our supporters on kind of where I'm at and where I think my thoughts are at in terms of the club, and take anything sort of, as much as I can, emotional out of it from my perspective, or personal out of it from my perspective. It's harder after games, for sure. They're a lot tougher. But with these ones, hopefully you have a bit of fun along the way.
Interesting what you said earlier on about the difference between progress and success. At what point in this project will progress have to include some success?
It's essential. It's not just, progress is not sort of an endless road. Progress with the objective of being successful. So when does that happen? Well, I was hoping it was happening this year, but it didn't. So my plan is for it to happen next year. But at the same time, you've got to understand that progress is really messy. It's disheartening. It's dispiriting. It can really knock your enthusiasm, because it's not linear. It's not just, you're going to cop some blows along the way, and I know that's still ahead of us. We've had to manage a few this year, and so you understand that, but the progress I'm talking about leads to success, and if it doesn't lead to success, then you're asking questions to a different bloke next time. It's not me, because that's why I'm here. I'm here to bring success to the club. So when? Well, this year was my objective. It didn't happen. So now next year becomes my objective, and the quicker it happens, the better for me and for the football club.
You're talking down the importance of getting the Champions League. Your experience, what was your experience with Celtic?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it can help, but again, it's not. It can be a builder to helping you have more success the more you're in that competition, for sure, especially for a club like Celtic, where they tend to dominate the domestic league. You can get progress by consistently being in the Champions League, challenging yourself against better sides, learning from that, hopefully over time then, building stronger teams. But it's obvious that I don't have clarity about my message around Champions League, but we'll stay in that matter. Or what I'll actually do is, look, I'm desperate to make Champions League. I'd love to make Champions League. Champions League is what it's all about.
Look at those fixtures. If you do it, you'll have to do it the hard way. You've got looks like you'll have 2 weeks where you've got 3 matches.
Yeah.
Are you annoyed that there's something?
No, not annoyed, because as I said, it just seems the way our season's gone, and like I said, some of it's self-inflicted because of our own sort of, we haven't been in the competitions longer than others, so, or in Europe at all. But it's just been that way this year. I've just felt, and again, it's a stark contrast to where I've come from Celtic, where we just seem to have games all the time and a real flow. That this year just seems like no games and a lot of games and no games and a lot of games. So it's just the way it is, and we have to accept that. Ultimately, we know we know now we've got one midweek fixture. We're going to have another midweek fixture for sure, and we just got to navigate that and try and do that to the best of our ability.
You said you don't want players who just want to come in the Champions League. They don't want to be part. What are the questions you ask a player you want to see in their eyes?
It depends, because again, they're not all the same, you know, just an understanding of the person. I mean, my only point around the Champions League was if a player, you know, said to me that, you know, the proviso for me signing for you guys next year is to see whether you make Champions League, then I won't sign him. There's nothing wrong with having that ambition. You know, if somebody wants to come to this club because they want to play Champions League, that's great. But if that's going to be the determining factor, then I'm saying, well, probably you're not going to fit into sort of what I'm trying to do right now, because the reality of it is this club needs guys who are going to be up for a fight, because nothing's guaranteed here. You know, even this year we're not guaranteed Champions League football. So, you know, that's becomes part of the discussion. But it'll only become part of the discussion if it's brought up. And then beyond that, it's just like I said, it's each individual case is different. You treat every person differently.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry, I forgot it was called luxury tax. That's all right.